I am LUGARESI. I would like to tell you the story of a hereditary disease we studied and named fatal familial insomnia. One evening in May 1984, Dr. Reuter, a young doctor from Venice, called me. He wanted to talk to me about a relative of his wife, named Silvano. Silvano had realized a few weeks before that he had the same symptoms he had seen appear in his two sisters who had been living with him. They had died in the space of a few months from a terrible disease present in his family for at least 2 centuries. Silvano and Reuter believed that their family members had died around the age of 50 because they suddenly stopped sleeping. Although I had more than 20 years experience of sleep disorder, I had never heard nor read anything of this kind. Actually, a similar story was told by Garcia Marquez in 100 Years of Solitude. But when we managed to get in touch with him, he told us the story was a figment of his own imagination. The next day, Silvano and Reuter came on to my office. While Reuter gave me more detail of the curse afflicting his wife's family, Silvano sat in silence, apparently calm and indifferent to his fate. Every now and again, he would shoot his eyes and his head would drop forwards, as if he were falling asleep. But if called, he would reply promptly and correctly, but in monosyllables. Aware that he was about to meet his sister Anne, Silvano wanted to be examined in depth and treated with all the hypnotic drugs available to try and recover his sleep at all costs. If the attempt were to fail and he were to die, he wanted his body and his brain to be examined by leading experts in an effort to try and find the cause of his family's curse, and if possible, get rid of it. This was what he had written in his will. We admitted Silvano to our clinic and examined him in depth, doing everything in our power to make him sleep, but we didn't succeed. Under the effect of drugs, Silvano would go from a state of stupor to a deep coma without ever falling asleep. His condition progressively worsened. His speech became slurred, gait more and more uncertain. Every now and again, he would present violent jerks involving his whole body. Automatic gestures would also appear, mimicking getting dressed, washing, combing his hair, or handling non-existent objects. If roused, he would say he was dreaming or getting dressed or washing and combing his hair. These disorders were accompanied by episodes of profuse sweating, salivation, lacrimation, and the progressive increase in heart rate and arterial pressure, clearly the result of a persistent sympathetic activation. Day and night time blood noradrenaline levels were 5 to 6 times higher than normal. 4 months later, Silvano died from sudden circulatory arrest. Autopsy failed to disclose significant pathological changes in his internal organs and brain. We managed to get hold of Silvano's sister brain as well and sent them both to Piero Luigi Gambetti, a well-known neuropathologist and friend. Some weeks later, Gambetti told us he had found a bilateral atrophy of the thalamus in both brains, and that was the only major lesion. In 1986, the anatomoclinical features of the disease affecting Silvano and his family were published in the New England Journal of Medicine under the term fatal familial insomnia. Some years later, we discovered that FFI is a prion disease. Since it was first made known, FFI has aroused much interest not only among clinicians and biologists, but also in the media. I think there are 2 reasons for this. First, FFI is a human model for the study of the mechanisms of insomnia and more generally the mechanisms regulating the alternation of activity and rest, wakefulness and sleep in 24-hour periods. Secondly, above all due to Gambetti, the study of FFI has made a great contribution to the molecular genetics of prion disease. Thank you.